Faulkner's The Sound and the Fury illustrates the deterioration of the national American psyche. We'll be looking at this through the post-colonialism, new historicism, and especially feminist lenses. As there are no female narrators, the book itself shows how much of a voice women of that time period had. We must, however, rely on the point of view of two men. Jason and Quentin have two different views on how to treat women, one controlling and the other protective, respectively. Jason's frustration with Miss Quentin that results in his disciplining of her, and Quentin's anxiety over Caddy as he tries to protect her, are both aspects of the old culture trying to interact with these new progressive women. Here we see the post-colonial aspect of the work.
At this time in history, the old and new worlds were clashing, and the pain from that change resulted in pain in the characters' lives. Women also had no voice at this time, especially in this region, instead being possessed by men. Here, New Historicism explains the setup for the novel. To both Jason and Quentin, women are objects to be possessed by men, as was the old view. It's important to note that although Jason and Quentin share opposing views, they are still both representative of the deterioration of American values, specifically toward women. Looking at this through a feminist lens, we can see the pain caused by their reinforcement of gender roles and the controlling of the women in their lives.
The first impression of Jason shows his views of women. Through his language and possessive tone, he is shown to be controlling and therefore reinforces traditional gender roles and old Southern values. Anybody who steps outside these boundaries, as Caddy and Miss Quentin do, Jason views as a threat to his family name. His fear of their progression will lead him to be hurtful and controlling toward Miss Quentin, as we will see. Here, Jason criticizes Mrs. Compson for not disciplining Miss Quentin over the past 17 years. This has taught Miss Quentin to live more freely than Jason would like, as in her skipping class. Jason wants to control her, not only because she's a woman, but also due to her freedom and insubordination that could get her in trouble, as her mother's did 17 years before. The reason why he feels like he has the right to control her is because she is a girl, as denoted by the first sentence of the chapter. Here, Jason assumes that Miss Quentin is up to no good because of his naturally suspicious attitude toward her and begins to get angry about her acting up.
Mrs. Compson's own daughter has cursed her. The new generations have caused her much trouble and worry. This also shows how it was the expectation at the time for children to follow the beliefs of their parents. Not only is Miss Compson a burden to Jason because of her lack of strict authority over Miss Quentin, but Mrs. Compson has also placed the burden of passing on the morals of past generations on Jason. For over 30 years, he has had to deal with this trouble that she keeps reminding him of. Here, Jason signifies that he wants to control and even hurt Miss Quentin. This desire stems from his belief that he should prevent her from progressing. Having been burdened with Mrs. Compson's trouble, he's willing to do more to discipline Miss Quentin. This shows that Jason is more aggressive and abusive, even, toward women, due to his willingness to harm them based on mere assumptions. Jason goes on to compare Miss Quentin to African Americans, as shown right here, a race that he considers virtually uncivilized, which shows just how little he respects Miss Quentin and the female population itself.
Quentin interacts with Natalie, trying to get her to head home so she won't get in trouble. This stems from his desire to help his own sister, Caddy. He refers to Caddy several times in the passage as he recalls past memories about her. It's important to note that Quentin actually refers to Natalie as sister, while he is trying to take care of her, which shows the similarity between Caddy and Natalie as being in need of help, according to Quentin.
The views expressed in this passage clearly illustrate how important the feminist lens is to the story. Quentin believes he must protect women, especially Caddy, from themselves and other women. He believes their lack of respect for themselves, in Caddy's case her promiscuity, put them at risk, and so Quentin feels he must save her from herself. This causes him to have a condescending and harmful view of Caddy, and even forces him to convince his father that he committed incest with Caddy to protect her from getting in trouble with her father due to having a baby out of wedlock.
Here we have a passage from pages 96 and 97, which we will now annotate. We have added lines to the passage in order to separate the sentences so that they make more sense. Quentin and his father, representative of the old Southern values, must protect women from the freedom they are beginning to take. Faulkner emphasizes our women to show the possessive nature of the males over the females in the novel. Quentin goes on to characterize the roles of men and women. Men are for the gathering of knowledge, whereas women are something lesser, practical, almost like a utensil, and simple. Note that women just have that, and nothing else. They are also born with it.
Women make a crop, supplying whatever the evil lacks, and thus neglected to the inferiority of an object that has a limited usefulness. Women also do this instinctively, as if that's what they're born to do. This second mention of instincts, as opposed to the knowledge acquired by men, further demeans women and their role in society. Quentin finishes his thought with the limitation of women's actions going until the evil has served its purpose. Purpose, again referring to the utensil status of women, their purpose being their fertility. Quentin views them as objects, useful, but in need of protection from their own ways. For this reason, he must protect them in accordance with his old Southern values, but the protection that he offers is suffocating and repressive.
These three examinations of the text suggest that the American psyche is withering away. It is being destroyed by the corrupt values represented by Jason and Quentin. They both view women as objects. They have trouble accepting the new status of the world after the fall of the Old South, and they both try to control the women in their lives. As they resist the progression which Caddy and Miss Quentin represent, they are harmful to these women. They sacrifice the women's well-being to protect their old values.
Ironically, their views on women prevent them from having a legitimate and romantic relationship with any woman. As a result, it is unclear whether or not they did have a romantic relationship with any woman after the book had taken place. It's possible that, because of this, their family name did not live on, which of course makes their efforts pointless. There will always be pain in progression, but, as Faulkner's characters suggest, trying to resist an inevitable change deteriorates our morals and results in unnecessary harm.